take action on it and make a vote. So there would be notification of the community again of the project. So that being said, I think we're going to let the applicant do their brief presentation, and then we will be hearing from the members of the public. Thank you.
Okay, before we go, I want to have one, if you could answer one question. On the other parcels all around this property in question, are they all RD2?
AR2, yes.
AR2, all of them, all the way around?
In the immediate vicinity, yes, they are.
Okay.
It's the agricultural residential zoning district.
On the map, it looks like a couple of them are, not on this map, but on the county map, it looks like a couple of them are not AR2. But you're saying they all, that, you know where the...
In the immediate vicinity, they are all AR2.
Okay, all the way up to that housing tract on the top?
Yes.
Right? Where the chicken ranch used to be and all that. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Whoever is ready to go, introduce yourself and let's go.
I'm standing.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. Sincerely thank all of you to take your time and engage with us, listening about this project, and for the second time. So I just want to thank the committee as well and everybody here. My name is Shekhar Badupalli. I am currently president of a multinational company. And my journey into this, I'll briefly mention, I've been working in the area of agriculture and food for about 30 years of my life. And so I've been in this country for about 33 years. And a good part of it is really working on agriculture and innovation to improve agriculture and food. And that's my background. And I'll say a few words about our organization here in a second. Primarily, the most important aspect of this is some of us who have come to a stage in life working for our own selves ask a question, what can I do for community? And my entrance into this organization when we started about 3.5 years ago is really it's all about really voluntary work for community. This is not a religious organization. We are really a spiritual organization. And as we actually discuss this today, we are here to listen to you and to take notes. And Ms. Mueller mentioned that 14,000 square feet project or something like that. Nothing is etched in stone. We just don't have any concrete plans. We have initial plans. That's what we shared with the county. So we are here to listen to you, take your inputs, and then go back and see what can we do. And our goal and our mission is to help communities, period. That's where it starts, that's where it ends. And so the acronym that we have, the 3 letters here, SAI, stands for S for service, A for adoration, I for illumination. That's the acronym, SAI. And our mission statement here is very simple. It's 100% volunteer driven, and there is absolutely no money or donations collected. It's all voluntary by members that participate. There is no membership fees involved here. And as I said, I am a professional working in a biotech organization. All my time is 100%, no remuneration, no board member, no volunteer, nobody gets any money or need to even pay money for membership into this organization. Number 2, it's based on basically a spiritual guru, Sai Baba, who has about 140 countries as a non-profit spiritual organization related to his name. But it's all about those 3 principles, which is service, A for adoration, and I for illumination. So how do we work together and what do we do? If you go to the next slide. Oh, also, it's very important to say that this organization works with people from all walks of life, regardless of gender, their religious beliefs, etc. We have members of our organization who are authentic Christians, Buddhists, Muslims, Zoroastrians, and you name it. So there is no barrier, or this is not a religious center, period. That's what I want to say. And it's completely service-oriented organization. Next slide. So here is what do we do? We work with all kinds of partnerships through the community. We do a weekly sandwich service benefiting Next Move Homeless Services Shelter. Every quarter we do big lunch service in Loaves and Fishes. We do the canned food drive with the Twin Lakes Food Bank. And we do actually a St. John's program for real change, participate with them on monthly dinner services. We've participated dinner services at Salvation Army. And in addition to that, our volunteers on a need basis are engaged in a number of service projects. For example, with the recent fires that happened, we actively collaborated and we collected not only the pillows, and we went to the shelters and we actually did service within the shelters. And we have a number of letters provided by our partnership organizations. We'll be happy to submit those when we go to the next plan. But the key point is this. We are really about partnership. We are really about working with other community centers. We don't reinvent the wheel and start our own thing. What are the organizations that are participating? I'll tell you, in San Jose, when I was there a few years ago, when there was a lot of turmoil with the markets, and markets crumbled, and then there was an increase in about 400% of homeless people in San Jose Bay Area. I worked with Emergency Housing Consortium, and we saved $3.5 million in bottom line for that Emergency Housing Consortium, supplying meals for 83 days, morning breakfast, afternoon lunch, and evening dinner, hot meals. And we worked with that organization. In fact, we actually saved that organization going bankrupt just through our volunteer services. So what we're trying to do here is, you may ask the question, I'll come to that in a second. So what's the big deal about, there are so many volunteer organizations, how are you unique? There are so many churches, there are so many things that are doing. What we're doing is unique because we have a skill base of people that work in organizations such as Intel and other places. And my brother here, Ratish, he works for Intel, and he has been running robotics education programs for children all over Sacramento and the greater Bay Area, taking the knowledge of how to improve the skill base of our children with robotics. We conduct computer classes every 2 weeks, and all the program of computer classes to those people that don't have the functional skills to actually even write some simple resumes, etc. Our volunteers go, work with them, and we collaborated with Intel that provided the curriculum of not only the formats, but the programming, everything. And that's very important. So what is unique about it is, we don't sit in we actually reach out to the community, we identify the needs, and we look at how we can collaborate to provide our skill base to them. I believe in Orangevale itself, we conducted robotics. We took the children from the schools here to Intel and demoed the robotics program for Orangevale school children. So the key point I want you to take from here is that we have, again, as I said, we must be crazy people, because why are we doing this, right? We are probably crazy people. How we are finding time of people. Right now, what is missing in community service is not money. What is most important is, I get 2 hours of a very highly educated Intel employee, and that he can go teach robotics to the school children. That to me is very unique about what we're doing. And then when we are undertaking this project at this community center, this is not a religious organization. I just want to keep on underlining, we are not a church, we are not a synagogue, we are not a mosque. We are a community service-oriented organization. But of course, our guiding principles come from a spiritual master, Sai Baba, who has actually instilled this whole aspect of love all, serve all in the community. So when we go to this 5 victims thing, our members' children, we run spiritual education program for children of our members. They created 800 greeting cards, handwritten, and mailed it to every family that was affected by the fire recently that happened here. So 2 more minutes, I'll stop here. One more thing, the last slide. Yeah, here are some pictures. And again, we conduct Christmas programs, we conduct Buddhist festivals, we conduct Hindu festivals. You see, this is the loaves and fishes picture here. Here are our volunteers making blankets. This year we made, 80 plus blankets for 108 blankets. We do back to school backpack program where we are assembling backpacks for the children and go distribute them. So I can go on and on and on, but I don't want to take too much time. My time is up, and we are here to listen. Please share what is on your mind. We are willing to work with you and move this forward as seen. Thank you so much for your attention.
Okay, couple of questions.
Is my alarm?
Yep.
Okay.
The project that we got, the packet, I mean, you mentioned that you're not really, you're real open to whatever we're talking about, or comments, that it is pretty detailed of what you want to do here. So, particularly the drawings in the back, so what is the status right now? I mean, is this all just throw this away? Is that what you said?
Those are our draft plans, sir, and we are willing to actually modify, and we want to, again, our goal is not to look flashy from outside. Our goal is to actually bring impact on community, so we don't really, if you look at those designs, those are all draft, and we are willing to change whatever needs to be changed.
I mean, this looks pretty flashy.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Yes.
So I just,
Yeah, understand.
okay. Let's talk a little bit about, I mean, these are my questions, this is me.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed that you were from Rancho Cordova originally, or that's where it is now.
Right now, we are leasing space in Rancho Cordova.
Now, how long have you been in Rancho Cordova?
About 2.5 years, 3 years, close to 3 years.
Okay, and so prior to that, you were...
Oh, it's interesting. Prior to that, we were renting different places. So, but formalized, we've been at Rancho Cordova for 2.5 years. Incidentally, which is, I think is not incident, our very first meeting of the congregation happened 3 years ago in July 2015 in this community center.
In Orangevale.
In this place. In this place. So our first meeting of the congregation was in Orangevale Community Center, right next here. So.
Okay, what I'm getting at is I hear you saying there's no dues, there's no collections, there's no, how do you afford this?
How do we afford this?
Yeah, how does your organization afford building this?
A few of us have worked long in our life to give back to community.
So it's donations from the people that work?
Completely voluntary donations. And we don't actually go solicit funds as well.
Okay. You guys have any questions?
I have a gazillion.
Yes.
First of all, I do think what you're doing is great and wonderful. All right, I'm Rotarian, so we do the same exact thing you do. However, we do not have a building. We meet in one place, we do what we need to do. Number one. Oh my gosh. you said you are not a religious organization, but yet in your second paragraph on the first slide, you basically say that you are a faith-based organization, and you use the term congregation. So to me, that is a church, a religious organization. So why are you contradicting?
Yeah, so when I say religious organization, we are not a temple. We are not like a regular temple kind of a thing, and we are not a mosque or anything like that. Yes, we are motivated by the principles of Sai Baba.
So you are a
And
faith-based
so,
organization.
yeah, but Sai Baba is not a church.
All right, so then if you are not a religious organization, then by all the zoning and everything that I've read, it does not qualify you to build on that land.
Okay.
All right, so that's what I'm reading, that's what I've seen in the Sacramento County zoning, is that there's conditions, if you are going to be a religious-based organization, then you have to follow these guidelines, but you're saying you are not, therefore you do not qualify to build on that land.
So we have to be a religious organization to
Yes,
do?
yes.
Okay, or faith-based?
Religious organization is what specifically says
Okay.
in Sacramento County Zone, Chapter 2.5, and the 5th bullet point.
Okay.
It specifically says religious. All right, so that's number one. Number two, what I want to know, what you're doing out there, loaves and fishes and all of these other things, you are not doing them in the county or in Orangevale. Can you tell me or articulate clearly, if I were a town and I wanted to bring a business into my town, what I do then is I go, and the reason why I want to bring business into my town is to create tax revenue, to create jobs, to revitalize the community. And seeing how all of yours is a volunteer organization, I don't see any of that happening into our community. So everything you are doing outside of our community. So can you articulate why then? What are we in Orangevale, how are we going to benefit from your organization building?
That's an excellent question. So let me, number one, why do we, so there are 2 points I'm hearing. Number one is, and please let me know if I missed it. If you're all volunteer-based, why do you need a place? And why don't you, that's question number one I heard. Number two is what do you bring into Orangevale, is that's question number two. So the first question is, we do have about 70 to 80 children that come for classes at our place. So we conduct on a regular basis spiritual education classes for those children. So that, like what I mentioned is that the projects that we did with the fire victims and the projects for making quilts, the back to school projects, these are the projects that we are doing on site, right? And then we also do sandwich project, service project every Saturday, and we have we make the sandwiches at our place and have the families participate locally in those projects, because and then of course loaves and fishes you go cook and you serve them, but you also can participate in service with back to school. We also have the regular education classes for the members of the children of the members. And number three, those children meet and the families meet at the place to do the service project, right? So that's the reason why we need a dedicated place, number one. Number two, coming to what is it that you bring to Orangevale in revenue, is that what you're asking?
Well, it's just sell us why. What value are you going to bring to Orangevale?
Yes, so that's actually a question, that's a good question, and I would be happy to meet with the Orangevale officials, we'll be happy and discuss how we can do that. I don't have any answer to that part of the question, but if we look at why Orangevale, as we look at the membership that we have of most of our members, Orangevale is most centrally located to Folsom, to Rancho Cordova, to all these areas. So that central location is the reason why we chose Orangevale. We also considered Elk Grove and other areas, but we dropped that idea because it was not, because for our membership congregation, those places were ruled out. Orangevale is really like a attractive center to that. As I already mentioned, what value are we going to bring in money into Orangevale? Absolutely not. We are not a business. We're not creating jobs here. So what we bring is actually talent, skills, value in that context to share even with Orangevale community. The project that I just mentioned about, maybe you want to say a few words about what you did with the schools here?
Yeah, so
Go ahead and just stand up and speak up so everybody.
my name is Ratish Jaibarthi. I've been in this area about 25 years now, and I recognize some of you from the workshops I do. I work with kids of all ages, do free workshops on robotics. One of the things I noticed is robotics is a way where kids who are thinking math is not fun or science is not fun.
Could you speak up?
Sorry, okay. Most kids think math and science are not fun, but robotics is a way to bring them and make it fun, and that is a skill set it looks like we need, and that is something I do. I at least do 50 workshops in a year, which is all free for the community.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
No, wait.
No, wait, no,
Because I used to work for Intel.
no.
Hang on.
Look at
So I did get recognized by President Obama as a bronze award for the work I did, by the way.
And I work for an ag biotech company. We work with UC Davis and we work with other universities, bringing in community farming, like indoor agriculture. How is the agriculture changing the shape? So we talk about how to vitalize agriculture with digital farming. I mean, the kids that are learning about robotics and drones, etc., we actually bring in that kind of a skill base to, spark the interest in the people and in the community around agriculture. Yes, brother, you want to say something?
No.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. All right, now, I still have a few other things too,
Yeah.
is that, okay, why is it then that you can't use a building that is already in place? For instance, we have the Walgreens building that is right there on Greenback Lane, and that there would be more conducive being on a bus corridor. You can get the homeless there. It's easier for the homeless to get there if you want to feed the homeless, if you want to do things with them. It's so much easier rather than taking it down Hazel and putting it on property that really is not zoned for exactly what you want to do. And then, there was...
Can I say something
Yeah.
about Walgreens? I believe Walgreens still owns that and is still paying that.
All right,
I
well,
believe so.
yeah, but they can negotiate with that.
I'm hearing for the first time, so.
Yeah, and so also I want, like I was saying, the agricultural residential zoning district, general purpose, again, the agricultural residential zoning districts established this section are designed to promote and protect the public health, safety, and general welfare. Each is distinguished by minimum lot size and it is adopted for the following purposes. But the one thing that I would really like to bring to your attention is, again, like I said, bullet point 5, that says, to permit those religious, educational, recreational, and public culture facilities that serve the needs of the nearby residences and that generally perform their own activities more effectively in a residential environment and that do not create objectionable influences. So, again, I don't see where your project meets this criteria.
Okay.
And that's all I have to say.
Take a note of what you said, so
I'm done.
thanks.
Anybody else?
So my question comes to traffic and parking. And so does your organization meet daily? Do you have classes daily?
Yeah.
I'm going to generalize and just say a very traditional religious organization usually has like one day a week that they meet and they have a majority of their members are there, you know, whether it's, you know, whatever day of the week. But do you have something like that? If so,
Yeah.
approximately how many, just talking about cars and parking?
Sure. No, thank you. Thank you for that question. So we mostly meet on Thursday and Sundays. And the rest of the time, the facility is barely used, right? So on Thursdays and Sundays, on average, we have probably about 30 to 40 cars that parking required for that. And on special occasions, maybe it will go to about 60, 70. But with respect to your question on traffic and load, etc., we are willing to undertake looking into those areas and what is the traffic situation on Cherry and how does our project impact that. We're going to undertake looking at that. Yeah. So we don't have data yet, so but we know we can do that and come back and say, hey, this is what we estimated, is what is happening, and how does our project impact that. So.
Now, you just mentioned classes that you do and things, and when are those happen?
So
you mentioned
those are on Sundays. Sunday afternoon between 2 to 5 usually.
Okay. In the afternoon. Yeah. And sometimes we do it in the facilities.
I have just one more question. The actual status of your organization, is it a nonprofit?
Yes, it's a 501(c)(3).
501c3?
Yeah.
And it's registered as what? Now, you mentioned you're not a religious organization. How is your 501c3 set up?
It is registered as, I'll let Mohan, how is it registered as?
It's a registered as an spiritual center. So religious, it is coming in the different what you call the code. But we got 501c3. This is how what you call we are
Well, there's categories of a 501c3. So
Yeah.
which category are you in?
I have to get that number. So but this is what.
Okay. You need to know that next
Yeah, I
time.
will. We will provide exactly what is our classification and everything is next.
And then I have a question. So the Sai Baba Spiritual Center, it's not, is it your original creation for a nonprofit, or is it based on a global organization? Or is it franchised? Would you get potential other funding from other organizations?
No, it's an independent thing. There is no global umbrella church kind of a thing with us. So.
And then, do you have any examples of agricultural contributions from other areas that you have?
Agricultural contributions meaning?
To a community, have you set up farms? Have you
We have not yet because we're leasing a facility right now and it's not amenable to that. But with what we are getting into, one of the key projects that we want to undertake is really doing that kind of awareness around agriculture.
Okay,
Before we go on, do you guys has everybody been able to look at the drawings and documents up here? Yes. Okay. Do you have those on that slide?
Yes.
Any of those?
Yes.
I do have one more question. How is this building going to be funded in the land?
It will be all through voluntary contributions of our
Do
members.
you have it right now? Do you have the funding available? If they said yes, could you go to the bank, take out the money and buy it and fund it?
Potentially, yes.
Potentially, but you don't have it
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
You have the fundings. Okay.
Yes.
What I was trying to get to is if everybody knows what we're talking about here, been able to see the project and whatnot, because we didn't really cover the project too much. We don't have, we kind of used up all our time on those other questions, so. Yeah, that's the same as it was last time. So, what we're talking about is a piece of property right across the street, kind of right across the street from the Mormon church on Cherry, going a little bit further. A little bit ways down is the other project that was here a couple of months ago, the senior home that's going to go in or plan to go in there. So this is in, you know, just right next to that, basically. Is the gentleman here that owns the piece of property next to the senior home here? I don't know who it is. I don't remember his name. Okay.
Which senior property, 9048 Elm?
No.
7925 or 7911?
No, he actually lives on a house there.
Rick Ware and Lauren?
I own the one behind it and north of it, but Rick on in between.
Yeah, that's not the one. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out, I want everybody to know exactly where this is going and what we have to talk about. So hang on till we're all done. So, okay, this has some questions that I have on here, is that this piece of property is one little parcel on that big piece of property. Is that right? There's one, well, there's 13 acres and then this little piece of the 13 acres. Is that right? No, wait, let them answer that, please. So you guys tell me what this is.
Yes, it is. It's 13 acres and this is a 2-acre parcel, yes, within that.
So what this plant, this project that you're talking about is just for those 2 acres. And the other one is still going to be owned by the original owner.
Right.
Not you.
Right.
So,
correct. Yes.
So all we're talking about is that piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to add something.
Can you speak up, sir?
Yeah. My name is Mohan.
Yeah. That's okay, sir. Just answer it.
Yeah. The answer for that one is we are confined to, as Mr. Shekhar mentioned, this is a preliminary design we have submitted. We want to confine to the 2 acres, the parcel, total our project. This is what we are scaling down. As you said, it will be flashy. That's why we are scaling down everything and we have to confine to the 2 acres parcel. After we are talking to County of Sacramento, we decided.
So we got this this is a separate parcel 7929 and the other property is a separate parcel. What we are getting is this 2-acre parcel, and the 2-acre parcel, our project would be mostly confined to this 2 acres. We are planning on decreasing the footprint from the 14,000 to accommodate the footprint within the 2-acre parcel. And the second thing is the height or the conspicuousness of the building is the second thing that we're going to readdress that and bring down, and it will be like non-conspicuous, if you will. That's the item I want to use from an outside perspective. Number 3, I think probably we need to talk to the original owner to get some easement to be able to accommodate a road out of Cherry so that it becomes a 4-way stop. So we are accommodating all those changes into the current plan.
No, we don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody's aware of this when we
That's not
start.
what it says on your paper here from the county. If you read it, it says.
Hang on. This is what he's proposing right here. All right.
Okay, but that's not what it says.
I understand. That's why I asked the question. Okay. So let's all just relax and we'll go through this. Okay.
All right, so I still have clarification. Are you only buying the 2 acres?
We're leasing.
You're leasing the 2 acres?
Yes.
And you're building a building on those 2 acres?
Right.
So the rest of the acreage, it will not be yours to do anything with?
Correct.
Ever, unless they lease it.
Okay. Are we ready?
Sorry.
Okay, you guys are done. I mean, if you want to. Thank you very much. And
Thank you. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it. We are here to listen and take notes.
get your armor on. All right, what we're going to do now is, now we want to try to keep this controlled. There's a lot of people here, so, and a lot of people have opinions and comments, and I would like you to do one thing for us and one thing for everybody else. If everybody is talking about the same thing, then you don't have to come up and tell us again about the same thing. Okay, if you have something else to add to it, then that's great. But if you've heard 3 people already talk about how it doesn't fit this process right now, it doesn't fit Orangevale, you know, we've heard that. So we really don't need to hear from 45 people that it doesn't fit, okay? We understand that. We're all from Orangevale. We've been here a long time. We know, I think we know what's, you know, how everybody feels about this. So, you know, please be respectful of everyone, okay? On time and everything else. So, now, we're gonna start with 3 minutes. And hopefully we'll get done. If it gets too long and you guys don't live up to 3 minutes, then we'll go to 2 minutes. Okay, so we just don't want to be here a long time, all right? 3 minutes. We already want 2, maybe 1 minute. No, okay, 3 minutes. Okay? So, now you guys have heard what's happening. There's a little bit of confusion on exactly what the project is, based on what the county is and what they have proposed, based on the specification. So, I don't know, maybe Leon wants to address that later on, but if there needs to be, we'll let her do that if she so feels she needs to. Otherwise, let's go ahead and start. Our first one is Dana. Dana. Okay.
Yes, after all these years, you should know me.
I think so.
And I'm gonna give some history just so that you people understand where we are coming from. I got involved in the middle 70s with people that had started in the middle 60s to preserve this and come up with our Orangevale plan. What's left now of our 2-acre agricultural laws for most general agricultural activities, and that goes from Oak Avenue north to the county line and be basically from Folsom to Citrus Heights. And then we have the area next to the Cross Oak is 1 acre up to 1 acre agricultural up to, which allows for what they call incidental agriculture, which allows for 4-H projects, including cattle and of course horses. And like I said, we've been doing this for, like I said, people started this in the mid-60s and got our community plan so that we would all be able to work together. There might be things that you don't realize about real agriculture that happens outside, and that's flies, dust, tractor noise, and etc., which doesn't fit in with a lot of the things that you would want to be doing. Yours is more of a city type thing. Now, I don't know, I didn't hear you say if you serve sandwiches there, but that is not an accessible area for people that need that kind of service. And like I said, we've been fighting for many, many years. We've gone through all kinds of things. And the churches that came in, and I know you are a church, I understand that. I'm not sure what you are. But you're a volunteer organization that helps everybody, and I'm not sure what your service. Oh, I'm not sure what your services involved on your Sunday when you get together, what religion you know, or who you worship. I have no idea. And, you know, that's really none of my business. I'm a Christian. I go to church every Sunday. I fought, as much as we could, we fought every church that tried to come in. We have 5 different churches. Some of them have been very quiet and not a problem. Several of them have had numerous problems that we've had to get corrected over the years. And of course, they do bring more traffic to the area and more people that, of course, then come down our little roads on Sunday or when they don't realize we don't really have shoulders on the road. We ride horses down the road. Our roads aren't wide enough to have center lines in them. So we have to be very careful out there so that accidents don't happen. But we have less than 1,400 acres. My last count was 1,385 acres of AR2 land available for people to And that's what's being lived on now, plus these few big pieces that people are holding to see if maybe we're gonna fold here and we're not gonna keep our agricultural land and we're gonna be able to really make money selling this to, for commercial type enterprises.
Thomas,
Is that
thank
right?
you. That's your 3 minutes, yes.
Chris Bezek?
Oh, you touched on so many sore subjects. My property backs up to where you want to build. You think you did your research, but obviously you did not do your research for Orangevale. Orangevale is a special community. Our community service is right here stopping you guys. Okay? Between Oak Avenue and Old Auburn Road, there is 7 churches, 7 spiritual centers. We here off of Hazel in Orangevale has been more than generous with spiritual centers and churches. We do not need another one. We don't need more traffic on Sundays and Wednesdays and Thursdays and every other day of the week. After hours. We have enough. We don't need the noise. Spiritual center. I have a problem with that name, spiritual center. Who here knows about the Union Gospel Mission? I'm speaking loud so everybody can hear because people back here can't hear. So the Union Gospel Mission is a spiritual center. They help people in the community. But do you realize how much homeless is packed full in the front of all the businesses, in front of the place, all the time? That's what you attract. You attract problems and homeless and people in the community that we don't know are safe. Okay? Going to church, if you come back saying we're a church, again, we have enough churches. We have enough of those facilities here. We do not need them. This is an agricultural zone. It's been fought hard to keep it that zone, and we're going to stay that zone. She mentioned Walgreens. There's Wild Sports. There's a lot of places on Greenback that are more conducive for a commercial type business. Because you're more of a business than you are a church or a spiritual center. And if you're in Rancho Cordova, why are you leaving Rancho Cordova? You can get to Folsom, Orangevale, Citrus Heights, Fair Oaks, Roseville just as quick as from Orangevale. But you've got to understand the mentality here is this is the last country, the last open country that we have in this area. Roseville's gone bananas. Citrus Heights has gone bananas. Folsom is going like gangbusters. We want our properties. We don't want your light pollution. We don't want the noise and the traffic. And you guys filling your parking lots and parking on our street. Because that's what I deal with the other churches. Thank you guys for your time.
Okay, I'm probably going to butcher this name. Steve Abruzia. Maria West. Your time's up already, so.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, sorry. I figured out now.
Well, again, the thing is, and first off, let me say that as of this year, I've been here in Orangevale for 50 years now.
Wow.
So.
And she won't get onto CPAC.
And the thing is the reason that we bought the property that we bought is because we wanted a quiet country place that we could have our horses, our sheep, our chickens. And that's what that's what we had, and that's what we wanted. And what we've seen over the years, I mean, we did work very hard on the community plan that was done in the 70s. And the area north of Oak was a minimum of 2 acres. Well, honestly, I thought that was a little bit small, but that's where it was. Now, the thing is we've probably because of the price of the land, we have got now church corridor there on Hazel. Instead of a chicken ranch that had great eggs, we've got churches and another church and another church, or a synagogue. You know, and the thing is that's not what the plan was. That's not the plan that people have supported for 40 years. And again, it's just not the proper use of the property. The idea of traffic coming in, what I've seen happen on Cherry Avenue over the years, you know, it's a highway now.
Yes.
Hey, if I go 30 miles an hour, people pass me.
Yeah, that's right.
Trying to get out of my driveway at 7 o'clock in the morning is impossible. Thank God I'm retired. I don't have to get out at 7 o'clock. I tell people, no, I don't leave the house before 9. Now this is supposed to be a, quote, country road. Over the years we've had people killed going to the mailbox in that area. We've had, I know of 2 kids that ended up in the hospital because their horses were spooked by people zipping past them. You know, I mean, and this is just not the kind of thing. It's a community that is a farming community, an agricultural community, and we need to maintain that in all stands. Thank you.
I got 3 seconds to spare.
Yes.
Okay, next one's Mohammed.
I passed right now.
You're done?
For now.
Jim Freeberg. Come on down.
We all know what the zoning is. My problem with this project is the very last sentence of the first paragraph up here, because I live west of the property, and my property line is their property line into 2 parcels. The big parcel, I live up in the corner, it would be the northwest corner. My property's on the other side of the fence. And it says, the majority of this parcel will be left undeveloped for future education and religious use. To me, that screams a compound, a school, or something. And I have a pool and a residential, and I don't want people looking down there. It's 2 acres, supposed to be zoning, and so this project doesn't fit the zoning or the area. Thank you.
Okay, let's get something really clear. This isn't a rezone or anything else. What this is a use permit to put on top of the current zone. So there were a couple of things on Facebook I noticed of people talking about that, and it's really a use permit. So the zone is not going to change. It just applies a use permit on top of it. So just to let you know, that's what it is. I'm just saying that's the rule of what a use permit is, okay? Heather, you're up. Heather here still? Yes.
So I am a lifelong born and raised resident of Orangevale. I'm one of probably the few voices here that is in support of the project. I can understand where everyone's coming from. I understand that the agricultural character of this community is very important. I too have been disappointed over the years seeing a lot of pastures and things get filled up with houses. But in this case, along Hazel, where, as everyone has stated, there are many other religious, spiritual community center organizations. This use permit, there's precedence for it. I don't think that this is a place to arbitrarily decide that's enough. I think it's a bigger question of the community plan, which is many, many decades old, which needs to be updated, and that is a bigger project. A lot has, can I speak? Thank you. A lot has changed since the mid-70s. That is an outdated plan. Whether or not the goals, I think Orangevale should maintain its agricultural character, but it is outdated, and this is a different issue than this current project. That is all I'd like to say.
Move to Folsom.
No, I love Orangevale and I will stay here.
All right,
Thank you. Yeah, kindness and respect is appreciated.
Jennifer.
I've lived here almost 40 years, and I have to take issue with what you just said. I have the information off of the county website that these designations for usage of all of the acreage in Orangevale was updated and amended December 1st of 2017.
Not the original plan.
Not the original plan, but what we're debating tonight. This is the thing that's so passionate in our community about this, is that this is our home. This is where we live. And I live on a couple of acres, and I have fought hard with everyone here who's been here this long to preserve the agricultural integrity of Orangevale. And it's been a hard fight. We've been in chambers downtown till midnight. And we have fought to not against things, but to preserve things. And I really appreciate the things that you talked about that you're interested in sharing with young people. Robotics, indoor, hydroponics, anything like that, that type of thing. But I would rather partner with campuses such as HP or Intel or Sac State, places that already have the students there, and also places that we have an abundance of empty commercial property out here. I would like to see the county offer grants or however it could work to make those useful in the endeavor that you're looking for. But the reality is, it looks like nobody wants to do an AR2 project out here because the person that you're going to lease land from owns 25 acres. He had 2 parcels, and 2016 it shows it was made into one address. And he's trying to make money, rightfully so, as a speculator, leasing the land. Well, he may be leasing the land to you, but you're putting a permanent footprint over our living and breathing AR2 land. And there are other projects being proposed right now to be built across from Woodbridge Ranch that are in compliance with what we want, AR2. And we are hopeful that we do not have to say, oh, well, there's 3 churches, the whole thing has to be churches. That is not the way it goes.
Larry, looks like Crook. Is that right? Or Crumbs?
I've heard a lot of good things tonight, I'll just listen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Janice Freeberg.
Even though I'm married to Jim, we don't always agree. But we do agree on this particular item. I've been on, ever since this came to me, I've been doing a lot of research, looking into your organization, following you on Facebook, trying to figure out, and you know, you give us a little presentation, which was very nice. You left out a lot. I really felt that you didn't address the pageantry of your celebrations, the event you had last night, that none of that was addressed. It's secretive. It seems to be like you're hiding it for some reason. If you don't want to be proud of it, then you shouldn't be trying to do a project. I also back up to that piece of property. You want to be someplace quiet? Don't go on Hazel. It's not quiet. The vagueness of what's going to happen in the future, that's untenable. You're building something, you've presented something to the county, and I've heard so much contradiction tonight. I have a real problem with that contradiction. This is a residential area. You drive up and down the street, we have infill of housing going on, still in this economy. It's not going to go back to the way it was in 2008, but it still has people building houses on large parcels of property, making them very nice. You see them up and down. From where I live, there's two that are just finishing up right now. One's in Orangevale and one's in Placer County. As far as having any more churches, I'm a church person, but there's a time and a place to say enough is enough, and we have enough. As far as traffic, unfortunately, we can't mitigate the traffic caused by Placer County. They have approved those 3 large, 2 senior residences and a housing residence on smaller than that, higher density than that piece of property, just up the street within a half a mile of where I live. That is going to impact our traffic. So traffic's going to be a bitch, excuse me, but it is. And but it just doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't sit right that you're going to build something that is going to abut the residential that's going to have 7 days of use. Thank you for your time.
Mike Goodyear?
I hate to admit this, but I'm a pastor. My church has been here since 1890, okay? And we are building at the mansion on Greenback, which was built in 1905. And we are restoring it to what it should be. That's our goal. We don't want to be a big church. We want to be a small family church. That's our goal. But I'm standing up here now because I've had the privilege of traveling the world on mission trips in various places, many times in India, and this is a cult. I don't know if you want a Hindu cult in your community, but it leads to a lot of things. And I've seen it firsthand.
That's not the question at hand.
Yeah,
that's not.
Very careful. Yeah. Very careful, Pastor.
Well, it says on here,
we need to talk about the project, okay?
It says adoration and illumination.
Well, we're still talking about the project, okay? I think what they were giving us before was just a background of what they were, because a lot of people did not know what they were.
Talk about what they wanted to do with it.
So, are you telling me I can't talk about the adoration and illumination part?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you
for coming, Mike.
You bet.
Thank you.
Sharon? All these people that I call by first name doesn't really mean it. It's just I've known these people for many years.
I'm a 40-year resident, and he knows me for at least 30 of those 40, right?
More than that.
More than that? Okay, yeah. I've been here 40 years. I listened to your presentation. I came a little late. I'm not, against your mission or your SAI. You're probably a good organization and do good. And you say you're not a church or religious organization. But as it's been spoken before, we want to keep our AR zoning. And this project doesn't fit in our AR zoning. We have 1,300 acres left, and we want to preserve it. So we don't want speculators, AKA the landowner who speculated what he could do with 2 acres and make a profit on it by renting it out. I'm sorry, that's his problem, not yours. Well, kind of yours now, because you succumbed to his bringing you in to do this land lease. Probably on the cheap for him, but more expensive for you. So you could be a good organization. You said you're religious, not religious. I'm not going to go down that road. We want to keep our zoning. You need to find land more appropriately zoned. Even though we can grant a use permit, which I think is a mockery of our zoning, that the county will allow a use permit to circumvent our zoning and put a footprint of buildings in that we cannot pull a use permit away from. And I've done research in other counties to find out why they allow this, because you can't undo a commercial building with, oh, we're going to take away your use permit now. It's a mockery that we allow that to happen. As far as money and jobs and taxes, you were asked what you were going to do for the community. I think the 13 homes on that 26 acres would give us some taxes and some income to our community versus leasing this land. I'm definitely just sorry that you got sucked into this, but the landowner, he's a speculator. And I hope this is a message to every business or investor who wants to speculate in AR zone land in Orangevale. You need to stay away, because it's not the place to do it, because this is what will happen.
Lorraine, weekly?
So first I want to say I am an opponent of this, and I agree with all the other opposition. I do have one question. How many of your members actually live in Orangevale? I know you say they live all around, but none of them actually live here, correct?
Am I supposed to answer or yes?
Okay.
Okay, I just want to take permission, not okay, yeah. So
they'll be able to answer it when they get done.
Okay,
okay.
so
All right. Okay. Yeah,
beyond
I'm sorry I
that,
missed her name.
You say 30 to 40 cars on a Sunday. Why do you need 14,000 square feet if you're only going to have that few people? That doesn't even make sense. Again, it's the contradictions that we've been getting all night from you. It's set up as a cafeteria on the blueprints and a kitchen. And you talk about feeding the homeless. We don't need a homeless magnet. We don't need more homeless brought in here. Folsom already buses them in. Same with Citrus Heights. We don't have our own police force to bus them out. We don't need another magnet. One thing I take very big interest in is that on your website, when you look in the bios, it says twice on there that even though you preach all this love and religion and all this other stuff, it says twice on there that you oppose Christianity, Hindu, and Muslim.
Oh, okay, all right.
We're Christians in here.
We need
big Christian base, so I'll leave it at that. I'm just opposed.
And that's something that they brought up, so she should be allowed to say that.
Diana Garlic?
I don't have a lot to add because a couple people stole my thunder already.
Yeah. It happens when you get in late.
Yeah, it does. But I got here on time. Okay, so, I question needing another place. It sounds like you have a place in Rancho. It sounds like you have a place that's currently like a business place as opposed to a pasture that doesn't have any cement in it. And it feels like you're kind of like getting around the thing where, in this area, we're not supposed to split property and put buildings on it and put commercial type buildings on it. And while you're not selling anything, it could later on become something like that. And the traffic that's been brought up, the 2 hit and runs where people have died recently, but we had 2 hit and runs on Greenback and 2 or 3 hit and runs on Hazel where people were carted away in ambulances. This wasn't happening in our community before. The traffic has gone up and these things are now happening. And the idea of bringing more cars in here, the only reason I didn't fight the Episcopal Church going in or some of the other churches going in is because I didn't have the awareness of what CPAC was and what to come and do. Now, I just want to preserve any grass field we have. Horse there, because when I drove down Oak Avenue the first time, when I drove into this area, I said, this is where I want to come and live. Back in 1996, this is where I want to live. This is a place. This is it. I got goosebumps right now. This place is it. I mean, it really is a gorgeous community. People ride by my house with horses that have little red hand paints on their rumps when they go and they ride in the cutest little parade you've ever seen in your life. We need to preserve this area. We need to keep the grass. We need to keep the pastures. We don't need any more buildings. There's plenty of commercial buildings sitting empty, right?
Yes.
Looks like Stacy Sherman.
I won't say much other than I like your organization's goal to help people. I do, I support that. But Orangevale is just not the right place for us.
Robert Jolson.
I guess part of what I've got to say is a question, and that is, does a use permit have to fit within the confines of the zoning requirements? Can I build a 40-story building out here if I can get a use permit? And the reason I'm saying this is that in the Sacramento County Zoning Code, Chapter 3.6.3, the development does not alter the rural character of the community. Very basic. And this would alter the rural feel of the community. And it's, you know, I'm somebody that lives on Cherry Avenue, and I can't tell you the traffic impact that's gone on in the last 2-3 years. If you Google an address in Folsom and you're in Roseville, it takes you down Cherry Avenue. Really? It gets ugly.
And 40 minutes.
We've got the school down there. It's absolutely out of hand. I walk the street, walking my dog. The road is going away. I mean, I know we have infrastructure problems, and I know things are falling apart, but this road is just absolutely terrible. You can't hardly walk on it. So, anyway.
Dan, do you want to address anything that, I think one is maybe a clarification on the use permit might help. And
Yeah, so essentially the zoning code, so there's a table in our zoning code, which it sounds like most of you have looked at, which is table 3.1, and that's what we call, it's called the permitted uses table, but it essentially goes through all the zoning districts in the county. It lays out a list of uses, and then what it further does is it lays out whether they are allowed in those or whether there's an entitlement that you have to apply for to be able to place your use in those. In this particular case, a religious institution requires a use permit. Its base is to the zoning administrator in the AR2 zoning district, but if you have above a certain number of parishioners, which is 150, then it bumps up to the planning commission. So that is the base of it. Now, that being said, the gentleman brought up zoning code section 3.6, and that is some additional findings that do have to be made for these institutional uses that go in the agricultural or AR zoning district. So those on top of any other conditions that would be placed on a use permit, those findings also have to be made. So that's the process that would be gone through for a use that would go in like a religious institutional use in the AR zoning district. So it starts out as a base use permit, but then there are the additional findings that do have to be made. Does that cover your question? Mm-hmm. And the use permit obviously would come back to the CPAC, and it is what we call a discretionary entitlement. So it's not automatically granted. It does have to go through the public hearing process. It has to be evaluated and by staff, and then their conditions would be placed on it if it were to go through. So I think that covers the question.
Okay, there was one question that was brought up, and I think you were going to answer that. Now, let's not get into too many other things. I don't want to open this all back up again, okay? So,
Yeah, I think the question was how many members are currently from Orangevale. As I know right now, what comes to my mind is at least 1 or 2 families, and that's not that many, of about 70, 80 members.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I think that ends this workshop item. Now, the way this is going to work is these guys are going to go back and work on something, decide what they want to do, and then continue on in the process with the county. It will then come back at some point in time to hear again. So we will see this crowd again, I'm sure. And that's what it's really all about. Have us all come in here and do this again. So that's really all that we have to do today. I think they got some good ideas or good comments, and I appreciate everything that you guys did today.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry it's kind of rough with some of you. I just wanted to make sure that